Hey everyone, Jeff here from Films at Home. Thanks for coming back to the channel and welcome to 2022. This is my first video of the new year and it's definitely going to be an exciting one because today we are going to break down the winners of the first annual Films at Home Physical Media Awards as voted by you all in the physical media collector community. So in this video today, I'm going to break down the results of each of the 11 categories that I laid out in a Google Forms survey that I released a couple weeks ago now. We had almost 2,000 votes on this survey, so we got a pretty good range. We got a lot of people's voices heard, just under 2,000. And I'll be showing the overall results for each category so you can get an idea of what was close, what came in second, what really didn't get any votes. We'll go through all of that, but I'm going to go category by category, talk about the nominees, and then announce the winner, and then move on to the next category. Now, I am going to go in sort of reverse order. So I'm going to save the best overall release, best 4K visuals, best audio, those sort of best box set. The big winners, those will be towards the end, and we'll start and work our way up towards them, much like the Oscars do where they announce Best Picture at the end of the show. But before we get started, I do want to say that 2022 is shaping up to be a huge year for physical media, even bigger than 2021. So if you haven't seen my latest video that sort of broke down the releases we're expecting in the first few months of 2022, go check that out. And also make sure you subscribe to this channel. I'm going to have tons of reviews, tons of physical media, home theater, and movie collecting content throughout the year. So you're going to make sure you're subscribed. That'll help you not miss any videos and make sure you're always up to date. And you'll help us hit our goal of 100,000 this year, which I think is very much attainable. And I'm hoping we can hit it sometime before the end of the year and do a little bit of a giveaway celebration, big community video when that happens. So make sure you subscribe and help us get there. And now let's jump right into these awards. So the first award I'm going to talk about is Blu-ray only releases. And this is the best Blu-ray only release of the year, meaning that this is a movie that did not get a 4K release. It was strictly Blu-ray. Now the nominees were Small Soldiers, Psycho Goreman, Nashville from the Paramount Presents line, Grizzly from Severin Films, and Promising Young Woman. We got a ton of votes on this category, but there actually was one pretty clear winner. And the winner for this category was Small Soldiers. I have to agree with this. I love seeing some of my childhood favorites come and get Blu-ray HD transfers, even if they're not 4K, at least we're getting them in HD on Blu-ray. And Paramount did a really cool thing. They put out both Good Burger and Small Soldiers, which are two nostalgic movies for me. And I'm guessing based on the age range of a lot of people that watch this channel, Small Soldiers was probably very nostalgic for you as well, and I can see why it won. It was a great Blu-ray release. I did cover it in a full Blu-ray review on my channel, but I'm really excited to see that this won and that the community voted for it. So props to Paramount and props to Small Soldiers, winner of the best Blu-ray only release of 2021. So the next category is the best new release of the year. And that means that this is a movie that was released for the first time on physical media in 2021. So it's got to be a movie from that year. And the nominees were Zack Snyder's Justice League, Godzilla vs. Kong, The Suicide Squad, The Green Knight, and No Time to Die. And there are a ton of great contenders here. And I will say, out of this list of 5, these might be the 5 best 4K transfers of the year as well. All 5 of these are stunners visually and have great audio. But you guys decided based on overall release, the hype of the movie, how much you liked the movie, how much you liked the packaging and all of that. And you all voted for Zack Snyder's Justice League. And I do think this is a pretty significant choice, especially made by a community. It makes a lot of sense because a community of fans is basically what made this movie happen. The 4K release is excellent. The IMAX scenes look great. The audio is great. It's an overall great disc, but it's also a really important part of movie history. The fact that enough fans spoke up that got Warner Brothers to listen, got the DC executives to listen, and they were able to basically let Zack Snyder go back and recut this movie and release his version, which unfortunately was pretty much torn apart and thrown away when Joss Whedon came onto the project back in 2017. So it was nice to see Zack Snyder's original vision released. It was a huge HBO Max exclusive, but I'm also really excited to see that Warner Brothers did put it out on 4K. They certainly could have kept that streaming only like Disney does a lot of times, but they didn't. They gave us the 4K disc. They gave the fans what they wanted, and it was really, really cool to see a community of people make that happen, and it was a much better version of the movie. So great choice for new release of the year. Zack Snyder's Justice League, I think, is a must-have 4K disc, especially if you're a superhero, comic book, or DC fan. Now, the next category you all voted on was the best catalog release. And when I say catalog release, this means that it's something that is in the studio's catalog of movies that isn't a brand new title. So not Justice League, not Godzilla vs. Kong, but typically older movies. They're going back into their archives and redoing 4K or Blu-ray masters of these catalog titles. So for this category, we had The Ten Commandments, we had Willy Wonka, we had Django from Arrow Video, we had Taxi Driver as part of the Columbia Classics set, and we had The Addams Family 4K. And I actually was pleasantly surprised by this choice, and considering it wasn't in some of the other categories, it was a close cut to make best 4K visual. It was a close cut to maybe even make best overall release of the year. But you guys chose it for best catalog release in that specific category, which I thought was pretty cool. And that is Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, the 50th anniversary edition here on 4K. I said this in my review of it, and you can watch the full 4K review, but this really was like watching this movie for the first time. This movie looked amazing on 4K. They fixed the aspect ratio to make it back to its original aspect ratio. I thought audio was pretty solid, but overall, just the way that Wonka's factory and that world of Willy Wonka looks on 4K and HDR, absolutely stunning. So I can totally see why you guys chose this as best catalog release. And I also think out of those 5 movies, this one again probably has the most nostalgia and probably was one that people were most looking forward to for the year. So although it may not be the top 4K transfer of the year in my eyes anyway, or it did make top 10 for me, I think that there's a reason this won best catalog release, and it's just because a lot of people were looking forward to it. It is a huge improvement over the Blu-ray, and it's just a movie that people love, and it still holds up today. So Willy Wonka, props to Warner Brothers for another win here, but Willy Wonka on 4K, they're taking home the prize for best catalog release. So the next category is for best packaging. And when we talk about the packaging, there was a lot of bad packaging this year. So I wanted to make sure that this was a category that fit in here and you guys got to vote on so we could make our voices heard about which packaging worked and which didn't. Now, the best packaging strictly focuses on the package itself. So that does take into, consideration what came with the package. Where there's some extras, how was it packaged? How's the quality of the box set or the individual release? All of that stuff that went into packaging specifically is what was voted on here. So that could include like slip covers for steelbooks, just the way a steelbook looked or the way a box set folded out, things like that. That's all packaging. And the choices for packaging were first American Psycho, the 4K Steelbook from Lionsgate. Also from Lionsgate, Hacksaw Ridge on 4K Steelbook, another very unique package, something Lionsgate did a lot of this year. We also have Uncut Gems on 4K from the Criterion Collection. We have the Columbia Classics Volume 2 collection. And we have Dead and Buried from Blue Underground on 4K, which had several unique slipcovers and some really cool artwork on them, and a really nice total package. But at the end of the day, when it came down to a vote, the community chose Columbia Classics Volume 2. This is a very nice package, much like Volume 1. It kind of opens up and has this full display. All the movies have individual slipcovers. It has a Columbia Classics booklet on the back, which sort of talks about the movies that are in here. Obviously, the packaging itself is pretty solid. It's a pretty nice box set. It'll last a long time. It's not cheap, flimsy cardboard. Those are all the sorts of things that go into the packaging decision. Individual slipcovers, all the discs are safe. They're not in cardboard sleeves. all that good stuff. So it makes a lot of sense. I thought Columbia Classics was a very nice box set, certainly has some great packaging, and I think you guys certainly have an eye for what works and what doesn't, and Columbia Classics was a good choice, although there are several others that were on this list which are great choices as well. So it's nice to see some good packaging. We talk so much about the bad packaging, but props to Sony and Columbia for putting out this release. Columbia Classics Volume 2 takes it home. Now, sort of in line with packaging, this is sort of a secondary category here again, but I put a category in for artwork and design. So not so much the packaging, not how secure the discs were or the extras that came with the package, but more how was the artwork and the actual design of the set. A lot of boutique distributors like a Shout Factory or Arrow Video use some very unique artists to create new slipcovers, new designs. There are some really cool box sets in, steel books from Lionsgate of catalog titles, which they've done some really cool artwork and design pieces with. So this was a tough category to narrow down, but what I narrowed it down to for the survey and my 5 nominees were, again, the American Psycho 4K Steelbook. I thought that had very, very unique artwork and was a really cool release. We also have the Karate Kid 4K box set, which had some beautiful, beautiful artwork that I talked a lot about in that review. Also had Dune 4K release from Arrow Video, very cool, unique artwork. Also the Halloween 4K set from Shout Factory and Scream Factory. They're sort of one and the same. And then Do the Right Thing on a 4K Steelbook, where I thought Universal took a very unique approach and made a very unique looking Steelbook for that movie, which is nice to see rather than just kind of using cover art. But at the end of the day, this one was actually a pretty close race, but you guys did decide on the Halloween set, and I think that was the right choice. So I'm going to show you some of the artwork here from Halloween, but you have Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers, that's all new artwork there. Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers, all new artwork here as well. And shout out to Joel Robinson. He's the one who created all this artwork. So this is all his work, and this is really his award. But even their limited edition sets, which I got, this is Halloween 1, comes in this really cool black box set. Very cool artwork on the front. And then on the inside, you had a very cool vinyl release with some artwork. And then again, Joel Robinson's, what I thought was excellent, excellent Halloween artwork across those discs. So Halloween 2 and Halloween 3 have the same sort of style. I actually have the Halloween 1 poster hanging up out in my hallway that leads into the movie room because I thought that artwork was amazing. I'm a huge Halloween fan. I was going to be very critical of any new artwork that was commissioned, but credit to Joel Robinson, credit to Shout Factory for picking him, working together on that artwork and his vision, because these truly are very, very good looking discs. I love the way that the leaves and fall in that Halloween theme is all tied right in, and there's some just excellent design and artwork. So huge props to Joel Robinson, and I should give props as well to Mindy Kang, who was the package designer. So she designed the package, Joel Robinson did the artwork, combo from the two of them, but a well-deserved prize for best artwork and design for this Halloween 4K set. So now before we jump into the 4 major categories, as I would consider them, which are best audio, best 4K visual, best box set, and best overall release, we do have to talk about who you guys voted as the best major studio label and the best boutique label. So we'll start with major studio label, and I really did pretty much list all of them here. This was the only category where I had 6 nominees because I wanted to get everyone in here and see how the votes split out. Now, in that category, we had Universal, Sony, Paramount, Lionsgate, Warner Brothers, and Disney. So that's sort of your core 6. Those are the big 6 studios, and they're the major studio labels who are putting out, say 80% of 4K and Blu-ray releases. Now, I did a video on my favorite studio labels, and I had some disagreement, some agreement, so I was really curious to see where this vote went, but it ended up that the majority of you in this vote did agree with me, and you chose Sony as your favorite 4K major studio label. Sony really does do a great job with their catalog titles. They've been constantly supportive of the 4K format. They've had numerous great 4K releases. They really don't miss too often. They do keep pushing those catalog titles. And they're still fully supporting 4K in the format by creating new 4K players, by having 4K Blu-ray support on the PS5 and pushing that, even in some of their PS5 Essential discs. They're definitely marketing 4K discs pretty hard, and continue to be one of the only electronics companies that's still fully supporting it, both from TVs, from players, video game consoles, and then all the discs that they put out there. So I do still think they're the major studio label that is the clear winner and the clear choice here. And it was nice to see that Disney came in dead last, because Disney, and now as part of Disney Fox, what a disappointment 2021 was for them, for the most part, for physical media. And I have some bad news about 2022 that we'll talk about in a future video, but they're not off to a good start. So I was happy to see them come in last, but props to Sony for taking a large majority of the vote and clearly being the community's choice for best major studio label. So now, getting away from major studio labels, boutique labels. What was the best boutique label of 2021? And the options were Shout Factory, Arrow Video, Criterion Collection, Blue Underground, Kino Lorber, and Imprint from Australia. Now, I definitely could have put more in here. Severin, Synapse, Vinegar Syndrome. There were a lot of boutique labels that are out there that I just couldn't fit. And honestly, Synapse, Severin, Vinegar Syndrome, they weren't going to win this category most likely. They are more niche. I could maybe do a niche label, something like that in the future that includes them. That could be an option with Blue Underground maybe. But I had a good feeling where this was going to go. And the majority of the votes did go towards Arrow, Shout, and Criterion Collection. They're kind of the big three. But at the end of the day, you guys chose Arrow Video as your best boutique label of the year. Now, I personally think they put out the best 4K disc of all time with Django. They also had great discs with Dune. They quickly corrected issues that they had with Donnie Darko, which was nice to see. I hate to see quality control issues, but they were very transparent and open about correcting that issue. And they continue to do a ton of great Blu-ray sets like the Shawscope Volume 1 box set, some of their Italian Essentials horror movie box sets, tons and tons of great stuff, and lots of catalog titles as well. So I'm really looking forward to see what Arrow Video has coming in 2022. I think it'll be another great year for them. And I do continue to think that they are now surpassing Criterion in terms of transfers, audio, video, their packaging, their extras. They have taken a step past Criterion. They are fully set up to take over, and Kino Lorber as well. Keep an eye on them for 2022. Shout Factory, of course. These are all great labels, so it was really hard to put them up against each other. And then, of course, your Vinegar Syndrome, Synapse, Severin, Blue Underground, some of the more niche stuff, and even Imprint. There's tons of great boutique releases, so shop around, definitely look for them. And if you're a collector like me, you're going to love some of the extras in packaging they put their releases in. But props to Arrow Video for winning this year, 2021's best boutique label. So now into the big four categories, and we're going to start with best audio. Now, all of the movies for best audio are actually new releases for 2021, which sort of makes sense because audio is one thing that is really hard to take from, say, 1960 or 1970 and transform into this all-encompassing Dolby Atmos, 11-channel track. It's just really hard to do, but newer movies are shot with that sort of technology in mind, so their audio tends to be better. Now, the nominees for this were Godzilla vs. Kong, No Time to Die, Zack Snyder's, not Jack Snyder, Zack Snyder's Justice League, Love and Monsters, which is a sneaky good 4K disc if you haven't seen it, and The Suicide Squad, which is also a great disc. Now, I wasn't too surprised by this because I also chose this as best audio of the year, but you guys agreed with me and you went with Godzilla vs. Kong. I just really think it's hard to compete with 2, 3, 4, how many behemoth monsters are in this movie, the amount of action, the amount of overhead effects and surround effects, and the music and the score mixed in with that. I mean, you've got King Kong fighting Godzilla, fighting Mechagodzilla, fighting other titans. I mean, it's just an incredible soundscape to work with. And Godzilla King of the Monsters and Godzilla from 2014 are two of the top reference, Atmos tracks out there. And Godzilla vs. Kong is probably the cream of that crop. It's amazing. If you have a solid surround sound system, even just 5.1, 7.1, if you just want to blow people away, make your neighbors angry, whatever you want to do, Godzilla vs. Kong is an excellent, excellent audio disc. And I don't think it was any surprise that you guys chose it. Although I will say again, all 5 movies in this category, very deserving, all very close to reference audio, and easily could have been winners. But it's just hard to compete with 2 of the most famous monsters in movie history. So that was audio, and now let's talk about visual. So I had a category purely for best 4K visual. Don't care about packaging, don't care about extras, special features, none of that stuff. Just what was the best looking 4K disc. And your vote here actually really surprised me. So this is a heavyweight category. We had Taxi Driver, we had Django, we had the Addams Family, we had the Final Countdown, and we had the 10 Commandments. And I've been saying Django 4K is the best looking 4K disc, in my opinion, that's ever been made. And honestly, all 5 of these are incredible. But you guys chose one which I was not expecting, honestly, and you went with the 10 Commandments, which I do think is a very solid choice. This movie looks incredible on 4K. It had such a high resolution film negative that they could scan. The details look incredible. HDR looked really great on it. It's one of those rare examples where this is the type of movie that they could actually scan at, say, an 8K and maybe actually make a difference, because the film negative is that rich and apparently well preserved. But 10 Commandments is an absolutely stunning 4K disc, but I am surprised that it won best 4K visuals over Django. I really thought people were going to go that way, but I think maybe just more people saw 10 Commandments. It is a little bit more of a mainstream title compared to Django, but a great choice nonetheless. Very, very good choice. 10 Commandments is a great disc. Props to Paramount for winning this category. Huge props to Paramount. They've done a great job all year with 4K transfers, and they're taking home the best 4K transfer of the year as voted by the Films at Home community. So congratulations to them. The next category before we get to best overall release is the best box set of the year. And this was another heavyweight category because there were some great box sets and some that didn't make the list as well, which probably could have been here. But again, I wanted to narrow these down to 5, kind of like most awards shows do, and then have you all vote on them. So the nominees for best box set were the Columbia Classics Volume 2 set, the Universal Monsters 4K set, the Karate Kid 4K set, the Shawscope Volume 1 box set from Arrow Video, and the Underworld 5-movie 4K set, which had some really cool packaging and surprisingly decent transfers from Sony. But at the end of the day, I wasn't too surprised at what you chose, and this makes it the first 2-time winner here to take home 2 awards, and that is, again, the Columbia Classics Volume 2 set. It's an excellent box set. It has amazing movies. You've got Anatomy of a Murder, Oliver, Taxi Driver, Stripes, Sense and Sensibility, and The Social Network. It won Best Packaging for a good reason. It has an excellent package. And the 4K transfers across the board here, maybe minus The Social Network because of some limitations with that negative. They're great 4K transfers. They're great movies. I know some people get upset that the only way to get these right now is to buy the box set. But I'm telling you, if you're a 4K and a film fan, you won't be disappointed. And now that it's dropped to about like $75 to $90 on sale, now's a great time to get it before it goes out of print. But huge props to Sony for winning the best box set of the year with Columbia Classics and being the only 2-time winner, or I should actually say 3-time winner, because they won best major studio label as well. So Sony really cleaned up in these awards. So huge props to them and their physical media department on a great 2021. So now this is the one you've all been waiting for, and it is best overall release of the year. Now, best overall release means we're taking into account the 4K visuals, the audio, we're taking into account the artwork, the design, the packaging, the extras, the special features. Everything that goes into this release is what's being considered here. And this again was a heavyweight category. We had Django from Arrow Video. We had The Final Countdown from Blue Underground. We had Dune from Arrow Video. We had the Addams Family 4K from Paramount. And we had Halloween 3. Now, I could have put the whole Halloween set there again, but I thought Halloween 3 on 4K was the most impressive in terms of extras, new 4K transfers, audio, artwork, all of that. So that's why I chose Halloween 3 specifically. So this is a list dominated by boutique labels, which makes sense because they tend to do extra with their packaging, with their extras and special features. With their transfers, they take a little bit more care. But Addams Family snuck in because they did release a director's cut of that, and it was a great 4K scan that they spent a ton of time on and put a lot of care and effort into. So I had to include it, but unfortunately it didn't win. But props to Paramount for being the only major studio to make it into this category. Now, the winner of this surprised me a little bit, but the more I think about it, the more it tends to make sense, especially given some of the recent hype about this movie. And the winner for Best Overall Release of 2021 was Arrow Video's limited edition 4K collector's set of Dune from 1984 on 4K. So as you can see, artwork, of course, very, very cool artwork. Excellent job by Arrow Video on the whole box set. Very solid packaging. Jumping into the inside, what do you get? Well, Arrow Video usually gives you a booklet, and this is no exception. There's about a 55-page booklet with essays, with behind the scenes stuff, all kinds of goodies. If you like Dune, there's film stills, essays. So in typical Arrow Video fashion, you also get this double-sided poster. It has the old artwork, which you can display, as well as the new artwork from this release. So, you know, Arrow Video limited editions will probably always be some of my favorites, just because of the total package, the poster, the booklet. They do everything that Criterion does, but they tend to do it better. Then, of course, you've got the disc itself. Packaging is great. You've got some art cards on the inside. You've got a nice flip here where you get a plastic cover for both. There's no cardboard sleeves or any of that garbage. It has a great 4K scan, absolutely amazing 4K scan, original audio, which is great and newly restored. And then the special features. There's a ton of features on the 4K disc. There's featurettes. There are deleted scenes. There's commentaries, behind the scenes documentaries. And then it has another disc, disc 2, the Blu-ray, which has even more featurettes, 2 brand new featurettes, archive interviews with production coordinators, with Paul Smith, with makeup effects artists. I mean, just so much in this release. And perfect timing as well, because with the release of the new Dune, this movie has gained some renewed interest. Arrow capitalized on that. They put out an amazing box set. They didn't short on anything. Special features, great. 4K transfer, great. Audio, very good. Packaging design, excellent. Overall, a very, very good release. And while I still personally would have picked Django, again, for many of the same reasons, I can see why Dune won. Again, the hype, the nostalgia, the new movie coming out, and it is a great set. So huge props to Arrow Video for taking home Best Overall Release on Physical Media of the Year in 2021. Huge, huge props to them. They're still one of my favorite labels out there, major studio, boutique, or otherwise. I love what they're doing. I've been a fan of theirs for a long time, and I was really excited to see you guys vote for Dune. So huge props to them, and huge props to all of you, because that's the end of this video. But I really appreciate all the support that the survey got. I wasn't sure how many people would vote, and having almost 2,000 votes really made for a nice pool of entries and some really cool statistics to look at. So I appreciate all the community support lately. It's been amazing. Hopefully this video is helpful. Hopefully it helps you make some decisions. What are some good releases out there? But more than anything, I just think it's interesting, you know, how the community votes. You know, I can make my top 10 videos all day and tell you what I think and give you my opinions, but at the end of the day, that's one person's opinion. So I did think it was really cool to share the larger community's opinion with each other and see how you all broke this down. And it was a really fun survey to create. It was fun to watch over the last few days. And this video was really fun to make as well. It was cool to go back through the year and pick out some nominees, see who won, and grab these off the shelf and kind of, you know, take a second look at them again for the video. So I appreciate everyone who voted and everyone who watched this. Hope you had fun with it, and I'll definitely be doing this again in 2022 at the end of the year so we can renew this and do the second annual Films at Home Physical Media Awards. So that is it. Make sure you subscribe and have your notifications on so you don't miss anything on the channel this year. And also make sure to check me out on social media, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. All the links are down in the description. I'm spreading the word about physical media over there all the time on each of those platforms. So definitely a great place to follow me, get in touch very easily, send me a message. I tend to check those a little bit more often than YouTube, and it's easier to talk back and forth than YouTube comments. So find me over there. Check out all the other links in my description for ways you can support the channel, and check out all of the purchase links for each of the winners here, where you can help support me by picking these up for your collection using those Amazon links. And that does give me a little kickback, and I really appreciate it. That helps support the channel a lot. So thanks for watching. Have a happy new year. Here's to 2022. Hopefully it's a better year than the last couple. Stay safe, stay healthy out there, do the right thing, get your shots, take care of yourself, stay away from vulnerable people, keep your family members safe, do all the right things so we can get out of this mess. And here's to a great 2022. Thanks for watching. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll talk to you all soon.